Hey everybody. So today we're coming at you with a story, a heartbreaking story of a 3-year-old boy whose final hours were spent alone, restrained and unheard inside a Missouri daycare facility. This is a story of Conrad Ashcraft, a joyful, nonverbal, autistic child who never made it home from daycare on May 16th, 2025. His death has left the community shattered, parents terrified, and lawmakers demanding change. We'll walk you through the facts, quote expert opinions, look at similar strategies, and examine how regulation gaps may be putting your child at risk, even today. According to a letter from Missouri's Office of Childhood, the details are deeply disturbing. During nap time at Poppy's Playhouse 2 in Park Hills, Missouri, Conrad was removed from the main nap area because he was crying. He was placed alone in a hallway. Then a provider wrapped him tightly in a blanket, tucked in his arms, and she laid her own legs across his and placed a weighted blanket nearly 20 pounds over his small body. He stopped moving. Staff assumed he was sleeping, but no one checked on him. It wasn't until 4 hours later, when Conrad's mother arrived to pick him up, that anyone realized he was gone. No charges had been filed at this time, but questions are mounting. How was this allowed to happen? Why wasn't Conrad monitored? And how many other facilities may be using these same unsafe practices right now? According to pediatrician Dr. Emily Carter, weighted blankets pose a serious threat to toddlers. She explains they are absolutely not recommended for children under the age of 4. They can restrict breathing and increase the risk of suffocation, especially when a child is nonverbal and cannot cry out for help. Dr. Carter adds, in no case should a caregiver restrain a child during sleep. Placing one's legs over a toddler to hold them down is both physically dangerous and emotionally traumatic. Let's take a closer look at the regulations in Missouri. Licensed daycare centers must provide 1. A nap mat or cot for toddlers. 2. One sheet and one light blanket. Direct supervision during sleep. But what's not clearly defined? There is no explicit ban on weighted blankets for toddlers. There are no clear rules around physical restraint during nap. And while supervision is required, enforcement varies by facilities and region. Former state representative Jeanne Curtin said, "This case exposes a devastating hole in our child safety laws. If we don't act quickly, this will happen again." Tragically, Conrad's case is not unique. In Utah, 2014, a 2-year-old died after being pinned under a beanbag by a daycare worker. In Georgia, 2021, a 16-month-old suffocated on food after being left unattended during lunch. And in Missouri itself, back in 2014, an infant girl died while under a weighted blanket, prompting calls for reform that never fully materialized. In each instant, basic care and supervision failed, and children had to pay with their lives. Conrad's family says he was a gentle, joyful, and loving child. They say he had just learned to say, "I love you." In a statement, Conrad's aunt described the facility's actions as horrific, callous, negligent, and senseless. She added, "We entrusted his care to licensed professionals. Instead, he was restrained, smothered, and left alone." This was not an accident. This was a failure of humanity. Sleep safety for toddlers is a well-established science. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, no children under 4 should use a weighted blanket. All children should sleep on a firm surface. No loose bedding, no restraints, and no heavy pressure on the chest or back. Pediatric sleep consultant Liana Myers states, children cannot thermoregulate like adults. Weighted blankets may cause overheating and asphyxia. They should never be used in group care settings. As we examine how society treats its most vulnerable children, we must also confront the narratives surrounding autism itself, including some that have gained national attention. Over the years, high-profile political figures have made controversial and widely discredited claims about autism. In 2015, Donald Trump said, autism has become an epidemic. I want smaller vaccine doses over a longer period of time. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has claimed, we saw an explosion beginning in 1989 of neurological disorders, including autism. These views has been debunked by the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics, who state vaccines do not cause autism. Misinformation like this not only spreads fear, but contributes to the stigma around autistic individuals like Conrad, and undermines their humanity. Conrad wasn't a statistic. He was a little boy who happened to be autistic, and his life mattered. As we push for policy changes in daycare regulations, we must also work to eliminate fear-based rhetoric and replace it with compassion, truth, and commitment to understanding. Experts and advocates agree change is needed. That includes a full ban on weighted blankets for children under the age of 5, explicit rules against physical restraints during naps, mandatory real-time nap monitoring, random inspections with consequences for violations. As Dr. Carter put it, we regulate seat belts, crib slats, and baby formula, but not what happens during nap time. That has to change. And for parents watching this video, here is what you can do. Ask your provider about their nap policy. Ensure staff are trained in safe sleep practices. Tour the facility unannounced if possible. And never be afraid to speak up or report concerns, because your voice might save a life. Conrad Ashcraft loved swimming, music, and pizza. He had a gentle spirit and a smile that lit up every room. Now, his family wants his name to mean something, not just grief, but change, protection, prevention, so that what happened in that hallway will never happen again. The loss of a child is something no parent should ever endure. But the greater tragedy is when that loss could have been prevented. For Conrad's family and so many others, the only justice now is action.